So, in today's age of internet marketing, and even just kids in general, people in general, everybody wants to be an influencer. Everybody wants to have a channel with a lot of views. You're getting tons of comments, and people are buying all sorts of erroneous stuff from you. Okay, you're even selling your bathwater on the internet for $250,000 a month. Being an influencer seems like the pinnacle of life achievement. You're popular, you're rich, and you're popular and rich. Okay, I don't know any things that other people are seeking right now. So that being said, I want to explain why I let my YouTube channel die. I'll even explain why I'm making videos again. There's a much more specific reason around that at this point in time. However, I want to let you understand why I let my YouTube channel die. At one point, I was also investing hundreds of thousands a month in Instagram marketing. I'm going to let you know why I let my Instagram die. I'm going to let you know why I basically disappeared from social media. I'm going to let you know why I think influencer marketing is a really bad idea for 99% of people. And if you don't understand the dark side of influencer marketing, you're setting yourself up for a world of hurt 2 to 3, 4, 5 years from now. You're just setting yourself up for a real bummer of a time. And I want to explain that, because if you don't get this, well, this whole point of this channel is helping you avoid bummers. So listen. So a few things first off. I'm not going to talk about focus in this video. A lot of times when I got off social media, a lot of the other reasons for it was focus. Doing 10 different things, working on 10 different businesses, it never works. And if you want to know about that, there's a video, link below this video, that talks about focus and how social media destroys that. I really just want to talk about influencer marketing right now, because I see everybody going for this. And it's a really big mistake for 99% of people. In fact, it was a big mistake for me. In fact, I wish I'd just never even done influencer marketing, because it's just stupid. And I see so many people doing influencer marketing right now and building up these communities and building up these personal brands and whatnot. And there's one big question that everyone's forgetting. After you build up your influencer brand, after you get all the popularity, after you have all the attention, then what? Then what happens next? And that's a really big question, because then what matters? Because when I was building up my influencer brand, or when I was focusing on this the most, my then what was focusing maybe 2-3 months ago. I was focused on how can I make more money this month than I did last month? How can I make more money this year than I did last year? And it's going to take you in a very nasty direction. Let me explain. See, here's the thing about influencer marketing, and here's the thing about business that makes them a very nasty cocktail if you mix them together in the wrong way. So the thing about business is, for example, you're 25 right now. Look at Donald Trump right now. Now, I'm not talking about politics, and if you take this in a political direction, what the fuck is wrong with you? Let's focus back over here, okay? So look at Donald Trump right now, though. Guy is 73 years old. He's still not done with business. He's still not done with business. If you look at Warren Buffett, he's 80-something years old. Still not done with business. Business is a very long-term game, and actually Trump is a horrible example in this, because he kind of has a personal brand. People seem, if you've looked at his buildings, it seems like there's a personal brand going on there. I can't really identify it, though, because he has no YouTube followers. I don't get it. Where's his subscribers at? He's doing it all fucking wrong. Anyways, when you look at business, it's a very long-term thing. This is almost 50 years of business right here. If you look at Warren Buffett, it's almost 60 years of business from 20 to 80 years old. And so what you have to understand is when you're doing influencer marketing, you better be ready to do influencer marketing from 20 years old to 80 years old. Why do you have to be ready to do that? Because you can't check out of influencer marketing. The second you stop influencing, the second you stop chasing popularity, the second you lose that attention, your entire brand value, your product, everything goes to hell. Unless you design your business in a very specific way, which I will talk about here in a second. But that's the thing people seem to be forgetting. And that's something I never thought about. So, for example, when I was 23 years old, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going to get this huge YouTube channel. I'm going to grow up all this stuff right here. It's going to be absolutely awesome. But what happens if you don't want to do that? What happens if you don't want to keep trying to get attention? What happens if you want to just focus on your product or building a team or your business? You can't. You can't. And so I see all these people, they're building up these YouTube channels and these Instagrams, and I'm like, that's great. But what about 10 years from now? Because you're building up something that you can't maintain 10 years from now. It's completely unsustainable unless you want to commit your life to influencer marketing. It's a very high commitment business move. Because like I just said before, the second you stop influencing, you stop influencing. It's not like that if you go and have an actual business that's based around the product and the customers. For example, if you go look at Microsoft, Bill Gates doesn't even touch Microsoft, makes him tons of money. If you look at any business where it's based around the product, Those businesses are sustainable whether the face of the brand is there or not. That's what's very valuable. And what's a little bit harder to build up those brands, that's very valuable because it's pretty disturbing where if you stopped making YouTube videos or you stopped posting on Instagram or you stopped dancing for a month or two, that your entire business value drops to zero. And that also has something to say about the quality of your product. But let's get back to the point here. Another thing I realized about it that made me go, hey, I need to really think about how I want to design the next 30 years of my life is, if you've ever looked at one thing in life, it's very hard to always be popular. There's very few celebrities that have been popular for 30, 40 plus years. And they're not selling skin creams and make money online products and bath water. They're not doing that. Okay, they're just out there giving value, and it's almost impossible for them to stay popular for 30 years. I can name like 2 or 3 people off the top of my head. And so when you're an influencer, the thing that happens when you're selling a lot and you're using it to sell a lot is the algorithms of every social media will always work against you for the most part. You have to be really, really, really good at it to get around that. And now I'm not saying you can't. There's so many examples of make money online entrepreneurs or supplement entrepreneurs or skincare entrepreneurs that are doing great with the algorithms. I'm not saying you can't work with it. I'm just saying the game is really rigged against you long term. And most importantly, the algorithms are always set to push the traffic to the most popular person. It's very brutal. The second there's someone that's more popular or more attention grabbing to you or has better watch time, it's gonna go over there. And they're just gonna take your chunk of the pie simply because they dance a little bit better. Now that sucks because it's very hard to always be popular. It's very, very hard. It's very hard to always have the most attention-grabbing thing. It's actually impossible. Look at all the influencers that have come up and crashed in the last 3 years. So, for example, if you go look at Ninja, like a year and a half ago, this guy was on top of the world. His views have plummeted on Twitch. If you go look at a ton of other influencers, I'm not going to name all of them, the only one that survived for a long time is PewDiePie. For the most part. If you look at every other influencer up there, Casey Neistat went to where he was top of the moon, then boom down here. And so these are people that are just giving value from their channels. These are people that are just growing their value naturally. And so if you're going out there and building a brand like that, man, it's fucking hell because you have the algorithm working against you and you have to try and be popular for decades if you want to make this work for a long time. And the problem I have with it a lot of the times, and this isn't really required for my info business anymore. Like HCOM doesn't require me to do this, which is why I love that as an info business. If you look at most influencers though, it's based on a lot of false perceptions and making them a false god. And so, for example, when I was a influencer in SEO, I always had to have the next best SEO strategy. I always had to have something new coming around the corner. I always had to be the smartest SEO in the room. And that's just not feasible. That's not how a successful entrepreneur works at all. The most successful entrepreneur is always the dumbest person in the room. It is the most humble person that listens and doesn't talk. And so when you're going and being an influencer, you're forced to move in a completely different direction, which most of the time is bullshit. Now, of course, I was always investing in a new SEO thing, always learning the new SEO thing, but that's very, very hard to do. And it's not always possible to be the smartest person in the room. It's just not. And so when you look at these influencers out there who are creating this appearance of godlike status, it's anything but the truth. You're not allowed to be afraid. You're not allowed to talk about your actual feelings. You're not allowed to talk about who you actually are. You're not allowed to be a responsible CEO. You constantly have to have this ego and this false perception that you're putting out into the world so that people think you're greater than you are, so they will invest in your products, which they think will make them greater. Now, is there a way to have a personal brand and be an influencer while being in complete alignment with who you actually are? Yeah, if you look at Gary Vee, I don't think Gary Vee is any different than you see in his videos. And there's a lot of other influencers out there that do that. But for example, Gary Vee doesn't really hide his ass in his videos. There's a few other influencers out there like that. And I'm not doing like a rating scale of who's like giving out the most false perceptions or not. What I'm saying is you have to be in total alignment that this is what I want to do for 30 years. Like this is exactly who I am. This is what I want to be. And you have to be that thing. And if you're not that thing and you don't really want to be that thing, you really shouldn't be trying to be that thing. And this is really hard to do. Because what's going to happen, so it was crazy, and you saw me do this, and you also saw us in the whole entire Make Money Online community. So what happened is everybody was based on their personal brands, and then Ty Lopez came along, and he just took everything to the most massive of massive extremes. So suddenly everybody's having to like go absolutely nuts and keep one-upping it to get attention from this guy. And then what happened with Ty Lopez, there's other people now that are controlling the whole like Make Money Online space that are taking it to a whole entire other extreme. They're like doing all sorts of stuff. They're in like jets and stuff like that. They never change their like it's absolutely out of control. It's out of control. And the same thing applies to any other space out there. If you look at skincare, everybody's having to one up Kylie Jenner, and then Kylie Jenner has to one up them, and then they have to one up them, and they have to one up them, because it's not based on the product. Okay, if you look at really good products, like I'm gonna buy Chameleon regardless of how many views on YouTube they're getting, no matter what, because the product's fucking fantastic. But these people, you look at them, they have to keep taking it to a whole other level. You have to keep going viral. You have to keep going viral. If you look at the influencers on YouTube who are more natural, they have to keep one-upping it. Okay, so this guy just bought a giant house. Well, you got to buy a bigger house. And then you have to like do bigger stunts. And you have to do dumber things in your house. And it just keeps going and going and going. And if this is not your life's purpose, you're in this endless game of chicken. You're in this endless game of chicken that you're going to have to play for 30 fucking years. There's no way I can play that game of chicken for 30 years. I'm not doing it. Nope, fuck you. I'm not going to happen. Have you seen the level of Instagram stupidity you have to get attention in most niches now? Man, I'm going to have to buy a fucking elephant that's riding on top of a Lamborghini with literally, I'm going to have to take the DNA from a Tyrannosaurus Rex as well and then clone one of them Jurassic Park style behind me to get 2 likes on an Instagram photo. No, I'm not doing that. See vous play. That is not my thing. And if you get into influencer marketing, that's your future. That is your future. And again, you're going to have to maintain that future, because if you're not planning, are you going to retire at like 32, 40 years old? No, probably not. And the craziest thing about influencers too is with the influencer brand, usually comes a lifestyle that you have to maintain an image of too. And that lifestyle gets really expensive. And so if you ever want to take a break from your influencer brand, you can't, because you have this leash of lifestyle attached to you as well, which is really funny. You're going to watch a lot of influencers fall into that trap too, because a lot of them don't save their money. That's the problem with all this, because if you look at the whole span of your life right here, the future is going to look really gross if this isn't your extreme passion. So there's other examples of this. If you look at Tony Robbins, like that guy obviously lives and breathes what he's doing. Doing this for 60 years, awesome. Okay? If you look at Gary Vee, he lives and breathes whatever the hell he does on YouTube. He is cool doing that for 60 years. Like that's his thing. Awesome. And that's fine. If your passion in life, if your ultimate passion is helping people lose weight, your ultimate passion is helping people with self-improvement, that is your ultimate passion in life, chase it. Go for it. You can spend the next 60 years in total bliss. The problem is most people's ultimate passion is not those things. For example, I'm a builder. My ultimate passion, where I derive the most happiness from, is building things. That's it. And so my passion isn't really derived from going out there and getting a lot of attention. My passion isn't out there by going out there, and I would never want to do anything like Tony Robbins does. That would not make me happy at all. Going on stage, constantly talking to people, like, check me out, sir. That's not for me. And so you got to understand it about yourself, because if you don't, and you get into influencer marketing like I did as a builder, man, unsustainable. I invest all this time in this brand and this stuff that I really don't want to spend 30 years working on, okay? If I want to turn off YouTube and stop making videos, I'll just do it right now. And that's awesome, because my business is based around my products, not me. And then the biggest problem with influencer marketing is when you take all this, if this is not cool with your 60-year plan for yourself, your 50-year plan with yourself, the most dangerous part of influencer marketing is this. All it takes to fuck with your business, all it takes to screw with you, is a kid with a camera, an editing software, and the balls to do something crazier than you. That's it. That's really all it takes. Now you're probably thinking, oh yeah, but you have to be good at ads, you have to be good at products, and there's all this brand and stuff like that. That's awesome. But every single day, a person can come and enter the same exact space as Tony Robbins and get access to the same exact customers without anything, and just make a self-improvement product. Okay? If you look at every info business brand out there that is super based around the brand, look at how many influencers have come and gone in the Shopify space, for example. There's so many of them that have come and gone, and a lot of them have reached their peak and are on their decline now, because there's someone else who's more interesting and making more interesting videos now. If you look at people that are influencers in skincare, there's so many people that hit their peak and now they're on their way down because there's someone else doing something more interesting. That's a really bad business model. So I talked about moats in the last video. If you look at Hyros, man, it's going to take a person with millions of dollars and a lot of balls and a lot of understanding of tracking and a team of engineers that are optimized around tracking to mess with that business. That's a big old moat, and it's not a fun moat to build. For example, if you looked like a few years ago, I had like the most subscribers sort of kind of niche in like the business niche and stuff like that. And then you see like so many people have gotten into it, and so many people are like breaking 1 million subscribers now, and so many people are doing this, and they're doing like 10 uploads a day and all this kind of stuff like that. And it wasn't very hard for anybody to go out there and take that attention. You know, for example, I'm out there, I'm like, I got this big pie of attention, and then I notice that it's very easy for some guy to just come and be like, hey, here's my interesting take on this thing, and I'm going to do this thing right here, and take a massive amount of that attention. I'm like, no way, sir, this is not a sustainable business model right here, where any kid with a camera can come and suck up 30% of my audience like that and start distracting people and debating with the things that I'm saying. No. I'm going to build this thing where if someone tries to come and fuck with it, it's just going to bounce off like that. And so it's something you have to understand. The second you get into influencer marketing, everybody is going to constantly be going after your pie. You're going to have this big pie. You're going to have it to yourself. Everything's been great. You're on top of the world. And then everybody's going to be like, oh, no. I got a camera. And no, I got a camera. And I can run YouTube ads too. And no. I can take a more crazy Instagram footage. I'm like, this is not sustainable. This is not what I'm going to do for 50, 60 years. And so I just wanted to point all those things out to you. If you're sitting around right now with your iPhone thinking, maybe it's time to build a personal brand. Great. It's one of the most profitable things you can ever do. It's one of the easiest ways to make money on the internet, because you don't have to spend years building up a product. You don't have to spend years building up a team. You don't have to spend years doing any of the really hard stuff that comes with business. So I just wanted to point that out right there, because there's nothing wrong with starting an influencer brand to start off and making initial money, but you got to understand you're playing a 30 to 60 year game. You're playing a Warren Buffett game. And it's so easy to think, and I only thought in like a 1 year span. There was literally, when I was getting started making my first couple million a year, my only thing was like, I need to make more money than last month. Like, that was the strategy. There's no like, hey, what's going to happen 10 years from now? I was like, nope. So I made 200,000 last month. Got to make 210,000, or I'm gonna eat bricks. That's such a horrible way to think about stuff. So don't do that. And usually people that get into influencer marketing tend to think like that. So don't do that. Be aware of the dark side before you jump in the pool. That's it.